Ricmotech GT Challenge, broadcasted Mondays live on Apex Racing TV. Visit ExtremeMotorsports99.com for series and schedule details. Broadcast coverage next.
In the world of Formula One racing, this particular facility hosts the British Grand Prix, 6 times won by Lewis Hamilton, a new record set last year in 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Silverstone and round number 6 of the Ricmotech GT Challenge here on Apex Racing TV. Looking forward to what should be a tremendous battle with a couple of categories set for you here today. Gorgeous weather as well. It's a little bit cloudy, but temperatures looking good. My name is Rob Howden, joined today by Alessandro Dalladone, Dennis Branch handling our TV camera package. We are looking forward to what should be a pretty solid run here. And again, we'll go through weather momentarily, but I'll start by bringing in Alessandro. A big field of cars here. We have the GTLMs and the GTDs, Alessandro. This should be a fantastic event at what is truly an iconic British racing facility.
Yeah, for sure. Thank Robert. Rob, we had a beautiful weather here in Silverstone. Weather, the classical, typical British weather. Low temperatures, cloudy weather. But the drivers for sure will like it because clouds and this temperature will make things easier on tires and much more grip. So really looking forward for this event. The first time for me, and I think also for you, Rob, on this championship. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be very fun. These cars are a blast, and for sure we're gonna have some very nice multi-class racing going on today.
Yeah, you know, Alessandro, with the races you and I have covered here as part of the Ricmotech program with Extreme Speed, Extreme Motorsports 99, we've had these multi-category programs, which is fantastic. This is, of course, the Ricmotech High Performance Sim Racing Equipment GT Challenge. Again, brought to you by Proforma Graphics, the elite Texas graphics company. Great to have them on board. And as you said, kind of typical British racing weather, a little bit overcast, temperatures not too high, but always tremendous for racing. As you said, pretty solid on the tires itself. Round 6 of the championship, as I said, they got things started off back in January on the road course at the Daytona International Speedway. Moved to Suzuka in early February. They ran the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas as round number 3 in late Feb. In the middle of March, right as we went into this COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic shutdown, they ran their Le Mans 24-hour weekend, a late afternoon start there. They ran at Road Atlanta, came over to Brazelton, Georgia on April the 20th. That was the most recent round. So about 3 weeks ago was the last time these GT Challenge drivers got a chance to go head-to-head. Again, this will be round number 6. They'll follow up in early June, a couple of events in June, round 7 at Barcelona, and they'll cap off the season on June the 22nd at Watkins Glen. But as Alessandro said, this is a typical British weekend. We're at Silverstone, the tremendous racetrack, 5.8 kilometers, 3.6 miles, and a stunning 20 different corners around this racetrack. A lot of corners that are very well known to motorsports. Opening corner is Copse. They'll go through Maggots and Beckett's. That's that 2 through 6 combination. A couple of longer straightaways here as well, Alessandro, but really a demanding racetrack with a lot of switchbacks. Drivers have to handle the braking requirements. They have to handle car placement. It's a very difficult circuit to master, and I think we'll see the drivers who are able to do that work their way up front.
Yeah, indeed, Rob. It's gonna be very, very interesting. Let's see also if we can go on board with these drivers during this qualifying session to show you guys watching this beautiful race on Apex Racing TV. Also, the track, probably you will know everything about it. It's such a famous, iconic track, but nevertheless, it's always a challenge for everybody. Robert Hartley, we are now on board on the Excite Energy Absolute Motorsport driver in the 3 car here on the long left-hander, which is so difficult because you have to nail the apex and also think about this particular right hander, this other hairpin bringing you on the old start finish line before the revamped Silverstone in the last few years. We got the new surface too, and the super fast right-hander here, which is very fast to make any mistake or run a little bit wide and get that off tracks that are gonna be also key for the bonus points in this season, and these famous S's which are always in any car super fun to drive.
Indeed, that is 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The Kapanoff and Beckett's and roll their way down the hangar straight now. As I said, just over 5.5 kilometers long. We'll take a ride here with Robert Hartley, give you a look at this racetrack as they come down into Stowe, which is turn number 7. 50 minutes for these drivers for qualifying, 4 laps needing to put in, and every driver must turn at least one qualifying lap on the racetrack. He'll come down into turn number 9. It's a 9-10 combination. The right-hander leads them back into a little short shoot here. Another right-hander through turn 11. Then it's a big run all the way down to turn number 12, which they call Abbey. Very impressive racetrack here for sure. And again, as I said, 15 minutes. We're only about 7 minutes in, almost halfway through the qualifying run for what will be a 75-minute race here this evening. Again, round number 6 of the GT Challenge. Pro Forma Elite Texas Graphics, the presenting sponsor. Of course, Ricmotech, the title sponsor of the program. 3 different series, Alessandro, that you and I have been calling here over the last 3 weeks. Of course, the Classic Sprint Series, the Sports Car Series as well. We've had some tremendous racing. A couple of races at the Daytona International Speedway Road Course. Having a look here now at William Laster in the number 31 machine. But we've seen some tremendous racing. Looking forward to getting more of the same here today.
Yeah, for sure. Multi-class racing, we know this series, Ricmotech, for having always very nice multi-class racing. And in fact, for this particular event, we also had information that the GTT class got a little power reduction to facilitate a bit the passing on the straight, which are always very tricky with these 2 cars, in particular GT Le Mans and GT Daytona, because they have a very similar top-end speed. So to facilitate a higher class, we got a little bit of BOP going on, but nevertheless it's gonna be very interesting, a very big field and a lot of very fast drivers.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad call, but a 5% decrease for the GTD drivers in terms of horsepower. That'll allow for a little bit easier overtaking for the drivers in the GTLM class to be able to kind of knife their way through some of the slower traffic. One of the things that the Ricmotech crew is very adamant about is the drivers that are making the overtake. They're the ones that have to make sure that they are responsible for a clean pass. It's not the fact that the guy's getting lapped or getting moved down with the multi-class program. They don't have to get out of the way. They're going to run their racing line. It's all about the GTLM drivers actually being responsible and coming through. So this will help them out just a little bit. They'll be able to make that pass a little more easily on the straightaway. William Laster with the fast lap right now here in the GTLM category. He leads the way here. His fast lap, a 155.85. Only driver into the 155s at this point. Caden Bean in the number 18 now, 156.40, just a hundredth of a second back. The Canadian Andrew Caron in the number 72 machine. Further down the field, it's Caleb Lavender now leading the way in GTD. Dennis Svavertic in second. Esteban Rodriguez in third. Kevin Burrows in fourth. And Tyler Guillemette in the 5th spot. Qualifying, I think, I'm not sure if it's overly important, I think, for a long racetrack like this, Alessandro, but qualifying up front's always a positive. I know that people talk about that sometimes. Qualifying, maybe not that important, but man, I prefer to start up front than mid-pack any day.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. And we also see recurring drivers up top, like William Laster, Caden Bean, Andrew Caron. They are all drivers. Mike Dem, who we know particularly for also other championship we've covered with Ricmotech in the last few weeks. All drivers that are fighting for the championship and trying their best to always maintain a very good position at the start. Meantime, we see also here Eric Violet in 6th position in his GTD standing, which is led by the Audio Kale John Lavender, followed by Denis Savretric, the Croatian driver, and then Esteban Rodriguez, who was the race winner last time by in Road Atlanta.
Caleb Lavender, top the GTD category, also the top point man coming in the class as well. And it's Ian Gagnon Renaud, the Canadian driver, leading the way coming in the GTLM class. We'll look more at the points a little later on, but right now, Gagnon Renaud currently sitting in the 7th spot overall here on the time with about 3.5 minutes remaining. And Caleb Lavender, the driver who is on top of the points in GTD, is actually leading the way here on pace as well. Denis Savretric, as I said, in 2nd spot, and I believe Esteban Rodriguez, as you said, rounding out the current top 3 again. 3.5 minutes remaining left in qualifying here, Alessandro, and then we'll get set to go racing.
Yeah, for sure. Really looking forward for this time, and we also see here the last few drivers like Violet trying to get scored for the last valid lap in qualifying. Let's see if he's improving his time. We see Radok putting down a slow lap, but Violet doesn't improve his lap time, so he's gonna start in 6th place. We've seen in the last few events a few incidents at the start, especially with this new tire model, which is always very tricky at the start with any car. It's gonna be very, very important to have a track position to avoid carnage in the first few laps, even though the driving start in this in series are very, very good. You never know, and obviously it's always nice to start up front. It's showing good confidence also for the race, obviously. Starting up front is already putting at ease plenty of drivers instead of having to fight through the field, which is always very tricky, especially with this big, wide BMW in the field.
Very impressive qualifying run so far for William Laster, a 155.834 fast driver on the racetrack. 0.3 quicker, actually, than Caden Bin and Andrew Caron. Both those drivers right about 0.3 of a second back. Another 0.4 back to Mike Dam. And then Miguel Antonio El Crudo rounding out the fast 5. Most drivers seems to be wrapping things up here. We're about 2.5 minutes, or about 1.5 minutes rather, still to come. We are expecting within this 75-minute race, one pit stop per for each category. It'll be interesting to see. The GTLM driver is probably going to get somewhere around 38 to 40 minutes of the 75 on a full tank. That'll equate to right around 26 laps. That's going to give them a pretty big pit window. You could come in by the end of lap number 13, top up, but you can also wait all the way till about lap 25. So that's a big window for these drivers. And in the event we just had, the sports car series event at Daytona, we saw the leaders actually take significantly different approaches. Mike Dam coming in early at Daytona was able to go on to get the victory. For the GTD drivers, of course, a little bit easier on the fuel. They're burning just over a gallon per lap. So they'll go about 52 minutes on a full tank. But again, a 75-minute race, so about 26 laps as well for the drivers in GTD, but because of the length of their race not going quite the same amount of lap times, look for the window to open up about lap number 11. It'll go to lap 26, and they'll take on about 12 gallons of fuel to try to get to the end. So fuel strategies could be interesting, Alessandro. We saw that most definitely at Daytona for the Sports Car Championship, and it may play a role here at Silverstone tonight as well.
Yeah, for sure. In any multi-class race, obviously, strategy is gonna play a big part, especially in these races, because even though GT Le Mans and GT Daytona, as we saw in the qualifying section, are not that different with a pace, it's about 2 or 3 seconds, they are gonna face for sure some traffic throughout the race. And as we saw with the Aeronome last week, it could definitely change the race and the perspective of each driver. So it's going to be definitely very interesting.
Let's have a look at the grid. William Laster, indeed the fastest driver, a 155.834. He'll start alongside Caden Bin, the American, on the front row. A couple of Canadians on row number 2, Andrew Caron and Mike Dam. Row 3, we'll see Miguel El Crudo alongside Abner Acosta. Ian Gagnon Renaud, your point leader, will start 7th. And then the outside of row 4 will be El Crudo Udo Row number 5 on the inside, Travis Schwenke, and on the outside, Luiski Di Oleo. Row 6, Robert Hartley. We know him to be fast. And Arthur Chan, the Canadian, starting in 12th outside of row number 6. Then we'll have David Payton in the number 13 alongside Chris Thorman in the number 60 machine. That's row number 7. Row 8, we'll have Derek Holland alongside Rafael Sosa. Row 9, George Fike and Raymond Rodriguez. Well, capping off the top 20, we'll have Kevin Ford and Russ Ruddick. Michael Schiegelmilk in the number, actually no number on that car, start alongside Race Marshall in the number 999. I think that's a Race Marshall, not Race Marshall. And then we'll see the assistant marshal there as well. Let's move through to see which drivers we have in GT. I laugh at that because there's a couple of drivers here in the U.S. named Race. So it kind of caught me off guard there. Race Marshal. That'd be a great name for a driver, I think. I think your fast driver there in GTD is Caleb Lavender, who was 4.5 seconds back. But number 65 will start essentially on the pole. They'll flip-flop around. It'll be Dennis Svavertek on the outside of row 1. Row 2, we'll see Rodriguez and Burrows. Row 4, Guillemette and Violet. Row 5 will be Whitworth and Jeff Jacobs. And then we'll expect to see Bobby Childs and Jim List, if indeed they decide to run up here, capping off the field. So we're getting set to go here right now. And again, as we said, race clock already rolling. William Laster will be the driver getting set to take the green when we get things underway. 75-minute run. Standing start, I believe. Still got the pace car out there. I'm surprised we were standing start with the pace car there.
For sure, little pace lap. Very short here.
Oh, I see. We're going to be on the back stretch.
We are on the back stretch now, and then we're going to do the last chicane. And start on finish straight. But yeah, catching you off guard, especially on some tracks now, the pace car is not actually in the center of the road, so you might not recognize it at the start. So
that's it. That's what the issue was. I'll make a note on that, though, so I don't make a mistake on that again. We had that as well at Mid-Ohio. They do that. They start on the back stretch when we run here on the iRacing service at Mid-Ohio as well.
George Fike is entering pit road. He went straight for pit road. Very interesting.
Interesting indeed. William Laster going to lead him up here to get things underway. Field set. We're getting ready to get rolling here and underway. Green, green, green. Racing at the iconic Silverstone Round 6 of the GT Challenge, sponsored by Ricmotech and Proforma Elite Texas Graphics underway. Some accident, a little contact further back in the opening part of this track. Again, the GTD driver starting a little bit further back, but a good start here for William Laster. Here comes the GTD drivers, Alessandro. It'll be Caleb Lavender on the pole.
Yeah, the Audi, one of the few Audis, to be fair, the only Audi in the field today. Caleb John Lavender taking the green flag right now. And there we go. We are green also for the GT Daytona category, and through the kink here on the right, now to the big braking zone. Seems pretty much clear. Every driver taking his time and making sure that the tire come up to temperature, and now slowly it's gonna take any chance possible to make up position. But let's go back to the starting, to the first place of William Laster, which is followed by Caden Bean in the Ferrari, which is very, very fast on the straight, especially after the last BOP we had in the racing service, where the Ford got a bit slowed down on the straight with some aerodynamic deficiency. But very important information from race control, start is under review.
We did see some contact for a couple of drivers coming through the initial part of Maggots there to begin the opening lap. But Alessandro, as you brought up, I think probably wise to bring this up right now. Again, the change in the tire model, as you said, especially this particular these two categories, tires when cold, pretty slippery, not a lot of grip early on in the run. We're not going to see anybody change tires in this particular event, simply because it takes so long to actually change the rubber. They'll just go for fuel during the single pit stop. But in these opening couple of corners, and probably even the opening couple laps, drivers a little more ginger on the throttle, trying to be a little smoother when applying to that loud pedal because the car can go around pretty quickly. We did see an incident early at the start, but otherwise drivers settling in here right now. A good cross section of the different cars available here in the GTLM category as we get things underway. Laster, though, pulling about a 0.4 of a second lead right now over Caden Bin and that Ferrari Mike Dam, who we have seen in all the Ricmotech races so far, running I believe the Mazda in the Classic Sprint Series, and of course was running in the headline category in the sports car category. That was a sports car series. That was a lot of fun to watch, scoring the win just last Monday at Daytona.
Yeah, for sure. We expect Mike Dam to be very, very fast also in this Porsche GT, but it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough because the competitors in this particular series are very, 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 very fast. Even though we have seen some of the big names struggling in their first few laps, like Ian Gagnon Renault, who's out of this race. So this is a very important information for our championship contenders to keep in mind, because he's not gonna score points today.
Indeed, picking that up right now. Good grab there, Alessandro. Ian Gagnon Renault, the driver of the number 23 machine, came in with the point lead here after 5 rounds of competition. Again, the last event was at Road Atlanta just about 3 weeks ago, and again, he comes into this event with the point lead, out early, did not qualify well, was right about 7th or 8th, and potentially involved in that opening incident that we discussed. The gap still, I want to say it was 0.4 of a second. It really looks like about a car length right now between Laster and Bin. Mike Dam and the Porsche not that far back as well, so 3 different cars here. Let's have another look, a replay here for Travis Schwenke in the number 16, watching Travis work his way through the track here. I'm not sure. Oh, there's a driver gone around. So one driver overcooking. I didn't know. Did you see if there was contact? I was looking further back at Schwenke. Was there contact, Alessandro? Did you see that?
I didn't exactly catch that, but there might have been, or even just barely touch that very complicated curve on the inside, because if you touch that such curves on the inside of the corners, the car gets really unsettled, and bouncing down the curve, you can be really in a tough position. So
I was going to say, I'll admit I haven't had a chance to actually drive the circuit as of yet. I did many years ago, probably 15 years ago, on a different service back in the day. It's been a long time since I've had a chance to even work my way around the Silverstone track. I look forward to getting that done again here this coming week to get a feel for it. Probably should have tried to get it some time beforehand, but it's been a pretty crazy week, I think, as we all know. So much action here on the Apex Racing TV network. Man, the broadcasts keep coming here for Apex, and a lot of great racing signing up. Excitement, of course, around the iRacing program from coast to coast in North America and all over the world, of course, as well. A lot of Americans, Canadians in this particular program. But again, watching this lead up front, 2-driver battle. Laster and Bin running up front here right now. Having a look here at the number 2 of Rodriguez. Where's the number 6 of Rodriguez running here now? Looking a little further back in the pack. One of the drivers in our GTD category. Currently running Esteban Rodriguez 2nd spot right now, trying to chase down Caleb Lavender.
Meantime, we got information, as you saw on your screens, that a penalty was issued on the 23 of Ian Gagnon Renault post-race. So he might be the one that has caused the issue. We have a Porsche car going around, and Andrew Caro in the 72 hits it straight in the driver's door. So it's gonna be interesting to see also the replay of this. Perfect timing for our cameraman Dennis Branch, that shows us here the 72 goes around, and the Porsche, goes around, and the 72 of Andrew Cannon in the Milano Racing Team hits him straight. Nowhere to go, unfortunately, for the Canadian driver.
Yeah, it's always a shame to see when another driver gets spun around and you're trying to get the visual, you're trying to look through the corner, and just absolutely nothing you can do. Having a watch here right now of the 87 of Arthur Chan for Axon Driving Solutions, number 87 machine for the Canadian. Chan currently running, trying to pick up where he is on track at this point. Where is Andrew Chan? Looks like he's 10th in the order. So a good battle here, essentially 8th on back. Sosa, Acosta, Chan right in the middle, right behind him. Then is Derek Holland, followed by Andrew Caron, who's been able to continue after getting held up there. Drivers continuing to work their way around this facility, working their way through the hangar straight down in here into Stowe. Liking the battle so far. And Alessandro, like we normally see, right? There's a number of battles that will start to form early in a race. Some drivers able to get away, other drivers battling with each other. This is a pretty good fight here for 8th, 9th, and 10th on back. Chan still running in that 10th position. And again, Andrew Caron trying to work his way up. Derek Holland, the driver we're watching right now in that Ferrari machine, the Indy Autosport number 80. Again, Holland running in the 12th spot. Right behind him, Travis Schwenke. And right behind Schwenke, Russ Ruddick in the number 95 Ferrari.
Yeah, we've seen plenty of racing all over the field, also in the last few weeks in the other series. It's really nice to see so many battles all over the place in all categories. As we can see in our timing screen, you see here two distinct categories: the GT Le Mans, which is very distinguishable from the red color they have on the mirrors and also on the number panels you see on the cars, but mostly also from the red numbers position color on our timing tower. And for the GT Daytona Plus, you see this very bright green as in the real IMSA championship. So very distinguishable colors for both classes, so you can clearly recognize them on the track.
Quick look at the top 10 right now, about 9.5 minutes into this one. William Laster with that lead, about 0.8 of a second. Starting to stretch it out just a little bit as the guy up front. It's been running in second. Mike Dam now in the third spot. Al Crudo, two Al Crudos, actually third and fourth. Hartley runs, rather fourth and fifth. Hartley runs in sixth. D'Olio in the Lowski D'Olio now in seventh. In eighth is Sosa, Rafael Sosa. In ninth is Acosta, Abner Acosta, and rounding out the top 10. Don't have it actually right in front of me at this point. Caleb Lavender leading the way in GTD. Right behind him, Esteban Rodriguez. Watching that battle right now. Here comes those drivers through here. Rodriguez, of course, in the number 6 Mercedes. And you had mentioned we have just the one driver, Alessandro, running the Audi, and that is your leader right now, Lavender. Rodriguez runs in that second spot. Interesting I don't think we're going to see any pit stops yet. As we said, we're expecting those to come a little bit later on. My live timing jumping around on me right now. It does that occasionally. So it's Lavender first, Rodriguez in second, Sveretic in third. This is, of course, GTD. Tyler Guimet runs in fourth. Brandon Whitworth in the fifth spot. Jim List up to sixth. Bobby Childs in seventh. They started at the tail of the field. Eighth is Eric Violette. Ninth is Jeff Jacobs. And 10th is Kevin Burrows. That's their top 10 drivers in both the categories, GTLM and GTD. Great battle here for seventh right now in the GTLM category. Rafael Sosa in that number 50 machine, in the 50 running in ninth spot for him in the BMW. Pretty good racing so far, and I like this battle right now. 9th, 10th, and 11th, nose to tail, essentially working their way around this track.
Yeah, very, very interesting battles between BMWs, which are definitely the most common choice in between GT Le Mans drivers, which is a sensible decision, to be fair, because it's a car which is well suited for all kind of racetracks. It's very big, so it's also very difficult to pass compared to the other GT Le Mans cars, as we know. Meantime, in the GTD, it's the Mercedes, the car that has been selected the most by the drivers, which is also there a car which is well suited for all kind of tracks, apart from two drivers which have selected, like Caleb John Lavender selected the Audi, and Bobby Childs selected the BMW Z4, which is my personal favorite car because it's so tiny. It's it's nice. It will be nice to see if we can catch a glimpse. Meantime, we see this beautiful battle with Andrew Caron right on the bumper of Sousa.
Yeah, let's
These
pick
two
that
cars
battle
are...
up right now. I like that on-board camera, Dennis. That was fantastic. Watching Andrew Caron and the number 72, the Canadian driver, putting so much pressure on Rafael Sosa right now. Let's go back on board. Look at him, inside, outside, trying to find a way by, working their way up here into this left-hander, going into the braking zone. Caron looks down the inside, book it, makes the move to the inside. And he set that up, Alessandro, over the last couple of corners, was really getting aggressive, making sure to fill the mirrors of Sosa, whether it be left side or right side. Got a good run out of the corner, able to get down the inside, and then, of course, waited just a little bit later on the brakes to get the job done. Had the apex, and, of course, when you own the apex, you own the exit, able to get out of the corner. So we see that move for Andrew Caron. Remember, he's trying to work his way back forward. He started much further up, but had the issue there getting caught behind that one car that had spun in front of him. Currently back into the 9th position, so Andrew Caron now will put the, I believe, put the target on the rear bumper of the BMW of Abner Acosta. That'll be next up for him to try to work his way forward. But again, now following that battle for the lead in GTD, it's still Lavender leading. But just like we saw with Caron, I'll tell you, Esteban Rodriguez and that BMW, or rather that, I keep saying BMW, that Mercedes has not given up. He has been on the rear wing of Lavender, Alessandro, for the last 14 minutes. From the green flag, he's been putting him on the pressure.
Yeah, for sure. He's not gonna give up, and he's gonna stay in his draft as long as possible, because obviously it's also key in this track to save fuel, because it's gonna matter a lot in the pit stop, as you said previously, Rob. Driver won't change tires in this short 1 hour 15 event. It's obviously way too short to change tires, get them back to temperature and working properly. So fuel is gonna be the truly factor in the pit stop we're gonna have in half an hour, 20 minutes time, halfway through the race also. So sticking behind the Audi, for sure Rodriguez is gonna think to keep it clean, make sure he is saving some fuel, and maybe try to jump the point leader Caleb John Lavender in the Audi later on in the race.
Well, anytime you've got the pace to do what he's doing right now, Esteban Rodriguez, of course, running very strongly, just trying to see if he can't potentially push Lavender into a mistake. No need to pass right now. We're only 8 laps into this event, just over 15 minutes into what will be a 75-minute race. So still a long way to go, only a fifth of the way through, essentially. Back on the camera here is William Lasser. There's a good shot of the lead that he has now over Caden Bin, the American driver in the Ferrari, back by about 3.5 seconds. Only 3 drivers selecting to run the Ford GT machine. William Laster on the Ford, further down the order to Michael Schiegelmilk. He runs now quite a ways down, having some trouble potentially. And of course, our driver Ian Gagnon Renaud, the Canadian, who had the point lead coming in on the Ford as well. I think he potentially is out of this race already. As you said, had an issue early on. It may have got a penalty for the contact as well. Here's the GTD battle for 3rd spot. Svaretic now running in 3rd, Whitworth in 4th. We're watching Guimet in his Mercedes run now in the 6th spot. List has worked his way up. Both List and Childs have worked their way up. Jim List and Bobby Childs getting themselves up now into 6th and 7th. So the battle continuing to watch here. They're actually not close enough to the battle with Guimet right now. Look at this good fight, though, here. That's the number 5 of Guimet. He runs in 5th. Whitworth right in front of him. Brandon Whitworth, the American, in the number 42.
Yeah, for sure. They are gonna try to work maybe a little bit together, because they are not that slower compared to Lavender, Rodriguez, or Savretti in lap time, but they are 4-5 seconds behind. So if in a few laps time William Laster, is the race leader, is gonna start to catch a little bit of traffic, this could come in handy to make sure they can get some seconds out of the leaders. But obviously it's not gonna be easy, because Caleb John Lavender is pushing really hard, trying to set faster lap after faster lap. So for sure it's gonna be a tough job. Meantime, we go back to the mid-pack fights here in the GT Le Mans between Schwenke and Sousa, which are still very, very close here for the last spot in the top 10.
We saw that Rafael Sosa had a pretty good battle there early on with Andrew Caron, who has worked his way back up to 9th position, now trying to reel in Abner Acosta. That would be for 8th position. The next driver to get by was Travis Schwenke. He was able to slip past Rafael Sosa, who stuck with him. We continue to watch Sosa in that number 50 machine. You watch him trying to not let the Schwenke get away. They'll use all of the racetrack coming out of the corner here. A Delta sponsored machine, Delta Motorsports, for Rafael Sosa in the number 50, staying with Schwenke right now. So great run thus far. That's 10th and 11th. Let's pick up Abner Acosta. Again, this is the battle we're expecting to see right now. Acosta in the number 44. That's Caron, not that far back, about a length and a half. So this actually looks like a fight, I think, for 7th, 8th, and 9th. Yeah, indeed. It's Lowski, D'Olio, and then Abner Acosta and Andrew Caron. All those three drivers currently 7th, 8th, and 9th. Caron, Alessandro's had a really good run. Battled first with Schwenke, got by him. Then he got by Rafael Sosa. Now he's working his way up to potentially get into the 7th spot if he's able to get by either of these drivers. There's a good move to the inside for the 36 of D'Olio as he and Acosta side by side. Great racing here, and Caron right there to get a good look at it.
Yeah, for sure, a very nice fight. We saw the 36 going a little bit wide in the first hairpin, and now side by side through this corner, which is almost impossible. And the 44 managed to get in front. It is not very recommended to go too wide. Neither here in the SE, Maggots and Beckett's are very complicated. And these BMW are not gonna make it easy because they are super, super wide. But what a battle between the three. Acosta now trying to profit from the little battle they are having behind between D'Olio and Caron. So for sure it's gonna be very interesting. It's a very, very beautiful fight here for P7 in this very tight field.
Yeah, they ran all the way down Hanger Straight, now working their way through what they call Vale into turn number 9 and 10. This is that left-right combination, and there's a move there for Andrew Caron. Caron has made a move now up into, I believe, the 8th spot, able to get by D'Olio, so move him into that position out of club. They'll work their way down now into turn number 12. It's just a quick little flick of the wrist to the right side, then they'll open back up into 13, 14, and 14 and 15. This is the tough corner here. This is 14 into 15, asking a lot more of the cars coming through here. This is 14, I believe. And then 15 the cutback, the left-hander through 15, a little sweeper through Aintree, which is 16. And then another straightaway here down Wellington into 17. I like the fight here so far. What I really like is this march forward for Andrew Caron. We are now working lap number 11, and let's throw this out there now as well. The pit window now open for the drivers, I believe, in the GTLM category. We got to go a little longer. Pardon me. I think it's lap 13. It would be lap 11 for the drivers in the GTD class. So we may see the GTD drivers start tucking their way into pit lane and watching this battle once again up front. I'll tell you, Rodriguez has not given up at all. Not so much he's not even given up. Let's get a better term. He's been absolutely relentless and consistent in his attack, staying right there behind Lavender. Has a little look to the inside, all about trying to see if he can't make a little mistake. And that's what Rodriguez is doing right now. He knows it's a long race. Alessandro's got good pace, so there's no need to force anything with a low percentage move right now. Just kind of biding his time. I'd be interested to see if we get into the potential pit window, does he decide to go in early to get out of the way and see if he can't leapfrog over top of Lavender with a good pit stop?
Yeah, that's a very good question. We saw very, very interesting strategies last week in Daytona, and it played out very nicely. But I feel like today is not gonna be an option. I feel like if Rodriguez is gonna pit as soon as the pit windows open, which is already open to be fair, he's gonna drop back into the main bunch of the GT Le Mans car. So he's gonna struggle a lot because he will have to give weight to a lot of cars behind him. So I think they will out for at least 6-7 laps for sure, till they get caught by the big bunch of mid-pack, let's say, of the GT Le Mans car, because it's not that easy to let people buy. It's gonna cost you definitely time.
I think that's a really good point. It would be obviously a different approach if you're in the GTLM category, because even though you may get held up by a couple of the slower cars in the GTD class because of the adjustment we had talked about earlier, a 5% decrease in horsepower for drivers in GTD to make it a little bit easier for the GTLM drivers to make those passes on the long straightaway. They're able to potentially do that, pit early and then work their way back through the field. When you're in a category like this, potentially, you know what, I don't want to get caught up in the pack further back, especially when you have open racetrack at this point, and both Lavender and Rodriguez looking good out front. In fact, they have a pretty good advantage right now, over 3.5 seconds from Savretic. So lots of room to play with. There's Savretic a little bit further back there, and then Whitworth running in the 4th spot, Guillemette in 5th. Again, pit window now open for the GTD drivers. We're only about a lap away from the pit window being open for the drivers in GTLM. I don't know whether or not we'll see anybody, as Alessandro kind of detailed. Waiting a little bit later, maybe not the worst idea. Not a good turn coming through there for Andrew Caron, as he is closed up now on Abner Acosta in the 44. We're going to see a fight for 7th position here pretty soon. Alessandro, as Caron, who continues to push forward after the issues early on in the race, kind of salvaging things here. We're only 24 minutes into a 75-minute race, just coming up to the 1/3 mark, and Caron really having a pretty good run trying to fight his way back to the top 5.
Yeah, for sure. He's on a mission. He's gonna try to get as many positions as possible, because obviously he's one of the first drivers in the standings. So he's gonna try his best to keep his good run going, even if he had a little bit of trouble in the first few laps. So for sure he's gonna give it all 100% from now to the finish. Other side, we find drivers like Acosta or Doleo that are trying to keep it clean.
Not surprising, some great racing here. Round number 6 of the Ricmotech GT Challenge presented by Proforma. And this event here at the iconic Silverstone, now about 32 minutes into what will be a 75-minute race. So still not quite to the halfway point. And again, my name's Rob Howden, joined by Alessandro Deladone. And great to have Dennis Branch as well with us, handling the production of the broadcast here for you on Apex Racing TV. Thanks for joining us here again today, part of this Ricmotech family of racing series. And again, we talk about this iconic racetrack, 3.6 miles in length, a staggering 20 corners here at Silverstone. Again, the longtime home of the British Grand Prix, an extension last year for 5 more years. We'll see what happens this year. Obviously, everybody's wondering what's going to happen with the rebuilt schedule for Formula One. Same goes for the NASCAR, of course, getting things started here this coming weekend at Darlington. IndyCar, the NTT IndyCar Series, looking to get things rolling without any fans, same as NASCAR. But they'll be at the Texas Motor Speedway on the Oval on June the 6th. Of course, everybody's kind of eagerly awaiting to find out what's going to happen with F1. Will they be able to get back to Silverstone this year? I have a feeling they'll find a way to get at least one race done here at Silverstone. But today, for us, it's a great battle here between a couple of categories. GTLM, we got William Laster out to a 7.6-second lead. That Ford GT40 out front nicely. Mike Dam has been able to get by Caden Bin, I believe, while we were on the break. Mike Dam in the Porsche, and, of course, Caden Bin on the Ferrari, followed by up to 6 drivers in the BMWs. In our GTD category, the battle we're watching here right now, Caleb Lavender in the GTR SimSport Audi R3 is led from the green flag, Alessandro, but he has been absolutely pressured from the get-go by the Mercedes of Esteban Rodriguez. And it's set. For me, I am absolutely thrilled with Rodriguez because the absolute consistency and the patience he has shown. You got to think if you're significantly faster, you may try to go for the lead, but also he could be saving a ton of fuel right now. Could be an interesting deal for him to potentially go 1 or 2 laps longer, having saved fuel. That'll allow him to have a shorter pit stop as well. What do you think? Is that a potential strategy? Alessandro, your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. I think GT3 cars are very known for having a lot of margin on fuel saving, especially on this very fast track where you have to use a lot of power and fuel. So for sure he's gonna think something out of the box and make sure he's gonna get by the 65 car. Talking about pit strategy, we've seen the first few pit takers in this lap, like Robert Hartley, or also we've seen other drivers dropping by pit road for longer pit stop, maybe also to fix some damage. In the meantime, we see here Mike Dam, which in the little break we had went through Caden Bean right here before the hangar straight.
And again, those drivers running in second and third, both drivers for Delta Motorsports, the American flag on the side of the race cars. Abner Acosta and Andrew Caron. I'm looking at them last time by. The gap actually about 5 seconds. I thought that Caron might be able to put some pressure on Acosta, but he's been turning really good lap times, a 158.29 last time by. And in fact, Acosta, the fastest driver in the top 5 on that last lap. He indeed was about a half a second quicker than Caden Bin as well. He's still quite a ways back, as you can see, 14 seconds. Can he catch Acruda, though? I think that's more what we should be looking at here. Again, watching the number 84 of Miguel Antonio Acruda currently running in the third spot. But Acosta, last time by, 0.8 of a second quicker. We may see a fight for the final position on the podium here, Alessandro.
Yeah, for sure. But first, we have a little ad for you boys, so don't miss it. And as I was talking, I have information that we got sound again. So I'm afraid, Rob, we talked for ourselves in the last few minutes. I'm sorry to whoever was watching the stream. We solved a little issue, but first let's go to a little ad.
Well, we're back for the final moments of the event here at Silverstone, round number 6 of the Ricmotech GT Challenge, presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics here on the Apex Racing TV network. We'll have a replay here as we jump right back. Here is your leader, Caden Bin, in the number 18 machine. Not sure what the replay is here. We'll try to pick it up. Oh, indeed, he almost loops it. Coming through. I think that's through the 9-10 combination. Wow. So the leader still pushing. There's a good example of the fact, Alessandro, that we are not letting up at all up front. Again, folks, my name's Rob Howden, joined today by Alessandro Dalladone, and of course on the production feed today, Dennis Branch. Great to have you with us here. We're looking at about 10 more minutes, just over 10 minutes remaining in round 6 here at Silverstone. We've had some tremendous racing, but I think, Alessandro, moreover from the racing, we've had some crazy storylines happening here now. It's surprising that we saw an issue for William Laster, who we're watching right now in the F4H Ford GT. He now going to work here on Andrew Caron, the Canadian driver, trying to go into P5. And I think he's got championship on his mind right now. Came in P4 in the title chase. The leader in the championship, Ian Gagnon-Renaud, had an issue out early, so that kind of blows things wide open. But we had pit lane penalties on the only stop of the day, of course, only a single stop today. Pit lane penalties for Mike Dam and pit lane penalty for the leader. He came in with a massive advantage. William Laster in the middle of this tremendous battle with Andrew Caron as they worked their way through the S's coming into maggots through 4, 5, and 6. Alessandro, it caught me off so much off guard when these drivers had trouble in pit lane.
Yeah, for sure, a very eventful race. As we saw also the 61 car on Jim Lee's 8 in the GTD class getting now a drive-through penalty for incident limit violation. as Bobby Child in the chat is clearly pointing out an unfortunately race for Bobby had to leave due to an accident early on. But boy, what a race. Definitely gonna be very, very interesting. Because Miguel Al Crudo is now in the lead after being nowhere near to the front for Alpha race, and then all the pit stop shenanigans and the penalties ended out for speeding, I guess, have completely turned upside down the GT Le Mans field.
We'll get back to that battle for the lead right now. It's only 1.5 seconds as Caden Bin trying to reel that leader back in. Again, Miguel Acrudo has taken the lead. That's them coming underneath us here. But here's a great battle as we're watching between Abner Acosta in the Movano Sim Racing team number 44, putting a ton of pressure on Miguel Antonio Acrudo right now. Both those drivers on the BMWs. The Ford GT of Laster now into the 5th position, having gotten by Andrew Caron. And the Ferrari of Caden Bin running there in that 2nd spot. But we're on board now with Abner Acosta as he's trying to see if he can't work his way onto the podium. This is the battle for 3rd position right now. And Acosta, who's been able to pull away from Caron into the 4th spot, putting a ton of pressure on. Up and over top of the curbs, trying to use everything through maggots here. This is 2, 3, back through 4. They'll hold it a little longer through 5. It'll open back up in turn number 6, then a little bit of a kink here, and we're back all the way down, hanger straight to turn number 7. We got ourselves a good battle, Alessandro, for the final step on the podium in GTLM, and just over 7.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, for sure. It's very, very interesting because we have battles all over the place. We have the fight for the overall win with the Cruden being very close, still not definitely over. Alcrudo and Acosta for the last spot on the podium, and we also have a nice battle for the GTD lead because Lavender, even though he finished 2 seconds behind after the pit stop, is not done yet. And also in the mid pack, Whitworth and Guillermet are fighting. Oh, we have some smoke here, maybe a lap car going wide.
And look at this battle right now. This is 1st and 2nd in GTD. It looked at one point that Eduardo Rodriguez was going to be able to pull away in the F4H racing machine, but it's the GTR SimSport driver, Caleb Lavender, coming back at it. The gap was probably 2.8 seconds at one point, and it looked to me like Rodriguez having a little bit of trouble on that last lap. He'll have to dig things back in. 6.5 minutes remaining. That's going to probably be looking at lap times here, maybe 3 laps for the drivers here in GTD. Again, remember the race will end a bit earlier because the drivers in the GTLM category have lapped them already at least one time. So watching how this thing will shake down time-wise, of course, the battle potentially up front between Miguel Acruda and Caden Bin, looking to for that to continue on. Bin about 0.2 of a second quicker last time by. Here's the fight again with Acosta. Oh man, big time action coming through maggots as they work their way through the S's section. A lot of pressure here. Abner Acosta in the 44, relentless, trying to get by Miguel Antonio Acrudo. What a battle here down hanger straight to turn number 7. Do we see a move to the inside from Acosta? Not as of yet. Doesn't even peek to the inside, keeping the pressure up. You know, Alessandro, with the time winding down like it is, this is all about trying to see if you can't force your competitor into a mistake. We'll go side by side, though. Here's a move to the inside of turn number 9. Potential over-under. Could pass. Acosta. Book it. He goes to P3.
Great pass by Acosta. You obviously have to dare now. There's no time for hanging back. It's time to give everything you got. And let's be very, very careful because Rodriguez, leader of the GTD, might have just spun the 61 car last lap. So he's under investigation.
The storylines just never end here for us. Let's see if we can't pick that one up. Potentially an issue. Here's your leader, Rodriguez. No, he still has the spot. There's Rodriguez in the F4H machine. He's driving that Mercedes. And again, it looks like they got a little bit of gap between them because that's one of the GTLM cars in the way. We're getting under 5 minutes remaining. A little further back, there's the Audi of Lavender running in second. So indeed, no spin for Rodriguez. In fact, a good lap. He was a full second faster than Lavender on that last time by. Savretic still running in third, Whitworth in fourth, Guimet in fifth, Burrows in the sixth spot, Jim List runs in seventh in GTD, Jeff Jacobs and Bobby Childs round out the 10 drivers in the field. But again, Acruda still leading up front. Miguel Acruda in the 55. We'll go back there in a bit. Caden Bin trying to reel him in. We're still watching this potential scrap. Oh, trouble for Bin!
Oh.
Bin has gone around. Second place driver. And you'll see that a lot. Alessandro putting a ton of pressure on. He got to within about 1.4 seconds. Let's see where he makes the mistake. Coming into Maggots, just overcorrecting. Just trying to carry as much speed as he possibly could. Rolling through the S's section, turn 2, all the way through to turn number 6. He comes back on track the other side of the racetrack. You got to feel for Caden Bin, the RSR Esports driver, because he threw everything at him trying to get the spot. Now we got to watch out indeed. Great pickup there for our producer, Dennis Branch, to grab a hold of William Laster, fastest driver on the racetrack all day long. Pit stop speed limit penalty put him further back, but that spin by Acosta, rather by Bin, could bring Laster back onto the podium if he can reel him in here over the last 3 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. Laster is gonna give it all because he's very, very fast, and Acosta is just 1 second ahead. So we should have at least 2/3 laps, depends on where the leader is. So for sure, they could come in handy for William Laster on his recovery drive after the big issue entering pit road and the long stop in his pit stop. So for sure the Ford driver is gonna use all the power and the straight line speed to close the gap, but as you see here, he's already under 1 second, so it's gonna be a matter of turns, not laps, before he gets to Acosta.
Well, I had mentioned that potentially able to catch up Caden Bin after his spin, but he really didn't lose that much, about 5 seconds in that spin he had heading into the S's, beginning with Maggots coming through there. Just got a little too aggressive, I think, back on the power coming through there, and the car rotated on him. This, though, the battle for third position. Bin was able to pull away from Acosta, as we know. Acosta able to get by El Crudo just a couple of laps ago. So right now, the driver's done such a great job. Abner Acosta in the 44 on the podium right now. Less than 2 minutes remaining in the race, but the fastest driver, pole sitter in the event, William Laster in that Ford GT, starting to put some pressure here now. That's for the final rung on the podium. Rodriguez Lavender pushing on Rodriguez, and that's actually separated by less than a second as well. But here's Laster really putting the pressure here on Acosta. Alessandro, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. Probably just about a lap remaining. Again, watching for El Crudo to come across the line. We expect likely one more lap to go.
Yeah, indeed, for sure. Laster now going to the inside and clinching back a podium spot, but he is not done yet because there is Bin in front. I don't think he's fast enough. Well, he's super fast, but the gap is too big, in my opinion, to get him. If there is actually only 1 lap left, this one, to get to the end. So.
But look at the lap time, last lap time for Laster, a 157.26, a smoking lap on that last one. He's laying it down right now. Remember, the fuel is going down. A 2-minute lap even for Caden Bin. Oh, he spins! Around goes Laster. William Laster pushing too much here on the final circuit, spins it around. He's going to give Acosta the 3rd spot back, and maybe even Miguel Antonio Crudo getting through as well. A minor miscue there for William Laster as he tries to make the move. He spins it out of P3. And again, the driver up front, Miguel Acrudo.
Boy, what a race. What a beautiful event. Such a lot of action from start to finish. And a surprise winner, I guess. Acrudo Senior, seems like. So we have... the 55 of Delta Motorsport coming in the last few corners with a little bit of damage up front, but none of this is gonna matter because he's the one crossing start-finish line in first position. A great win for Acrudo in the 55. What a race, clean, perfect, big win.
I think the thing, Alessandro, for Al Crudo, which was so impressive, was the fact that he really wasn't in the fight for the majority of the race, but he didn't make a mistake. Every other driver had issues. We know that Caden Bin had trouble, a couple of issues. We obviously know the pit lane penalty for William Laster. He's going to end up P5 as Miguel Antonio Crudo Jr. able to get by through as well. Here comes the fight here, the final lap. We're not quite done here in GTD either. Let's put ourselves back into the middle of the fight. They're working their way up in one of the GTLM cars. There's your leader, Rodriguez. Right behind him now, though, is Lavender. We're talking 0.3 of a second. They'll work their way back around, down to the inside, in a defensive move to turn number 9 for Rodriguez. It's the Mercedes versus the Audi. They'll work their way out of turn number 10 and 11 to run to the line here. Lavender not able to do it, and it's a victory as well for Eduardo Rodriguez as he scores the triumph here at Silverstone. Round number 6 of the Ricmotech GT Challenge. The winner, Eduardo Rodriguez. Caleb Lavender finishing in second. Dennis Svavredik ends up in third. Brandon Whitworth fourth, and Eric Violette in fifth. Top 3 drivers in GTLM, Miguel Alcruda, Caden Bin, and Abner Acosta. Alessandro, we were not we were not down on any storylines, that's for sure. Lots for us to talk about. Early on, I thought we were going to see a couple of dominant drive, or at least a dominant drive out front for Laster. I expected a race-long battle between Rodriguez and Lavender, but some great strategy, some great storylines, a couple mistakes here and there for drivers really changed the way this thing ended up.
Yeah, for sure. I would never have expected to see El Crudo here in victory lane after half of this race. Well, never say never. Anything can happen in life and also in racing. So, congratulations to the El Crudo family. Almost a double podium spot today. First and fourth place. And definitely looking so much forward for the next race of this championship, because it has been a total blast today.
Good little cruise around the track for the two Crudos, the Delta Motorsports drivers. Miguel Crudo Sr. with the win. Here comes your victor here as well, Eduardo Rodriguez. What a run that was for him. He was behind, put on the pressure, right under the rear wing of Caleb Lavender for about 47 minutes. Lavender, the first driver to head to pit lane. And I think Rodriguez, as we expected, saving a lot of fuel through that stint to be able to go 2 more laps before he made his pit stop. Of course, you do that, you're going to have a much shorter stop, not near as much fuel needed to go into the car. And when we cycled back through, he came out with about a 2-second advantage over the Audi R3 rather of Lavender. And again, he'll go to pit lane as Rodriguez gets an opportunity to get out onto the racetrack, do a victory lap, potentially a couple of burnouts. But the drivers all working their way in there right behind Lavender as, again, Dennis Svavredik, who had a tremendous run. All in all, just a really good race here for round number 6 of this program, this GT Challenge. And again, I was excited to see kind of the way things shook down there. Some pretty good racing for sure. I think we need to talk to our race winner, Alessandro. Let's see if we can't bring in Miguel Crudo in a couple seconds. He's still out there smacking some burnouts, so we'll wait for him to wrap up and then bring him in here. You got to be able to get those burnouts down when you have some fun. And I'll tell you, a great run for Miguel Crudo Sr., Delta Motorsport driver in the number 55 when he gets done on the racetrack. We'll bring him into the booth here and get a chance to talk to him a little bit about the battle that he was able to come through from, because he ran 4th and 5th. He and his son were really, I think, pretty impressive, Alessandro, for a majority of the race. He's kind of biding their time, P4 and P5.
Yeah, for sure. A very positive result. Anyway, top 5 is definitely something to work on every race. And for sure, there will be some drivers today very, very happy with the result, because obviously there are big championship implications in this race in both categories. Some drivers definitely making a good jump, like Lavender in the GTDs, and a lot of other drivers in the GT Le Mans series car having a tough weekend. Meantime, we get the final review of the incident between the race winner Rodriguez in GTD and the 6 car. No further investigation, so no harm, no foul. Is secured of the victory. Rodriguez in the GTD field. Rob, let's go through the results before bringing in a few drivers for the interviews.
Indeed. Let's have a look at that. Miguel Acruda, as we said, with the victory for Delta Motorsport, winning by 9.8 seconds. Caden Binna got it down to about 1.3 over the last couple laps, but just a minor mistake heading into the S's part of the racetrack sent him around, but he still holds on to the second spot. Abner Acosta had fallen down to fourth. William Laster had reeled him in and made the move, but a minor spin there on the final circuit puts him back as well. Acosta ends up in third on the podium. Mikel Acruda Jr. ends up in fourth. Laster, as we said, in fifth. Andrew Caron fell all the way back to 12th at one point, scrapped his way back to sixth position. Travis Schwenke ends up in seventh. Robert Hartley, second in points coming into the event, finishes in the eighth spot. Losky de Olio finishes ninth, and Rafael Sosa rounding out the top 10. Arthur Chan, Derek Holland, Russ Ruddick, Michael Schmiegelmilk, and Raymond Rodriguez. He and Kevin Ford rounding out the 16 drivers, bringing it home here. As you said right there, Mr. Eduardo Rodriguez for F4H Racing, the winner in the GTD category. Caleb Lavender finishing in second. Dennis Svavaretic in third. Brandon Whitworth in fourth. Rounding out the top five, Tyler Gumet, another one of the F4H Racing drivers. Kevin Burrows for Overtake Racing finishes in the sixth spot. Eric Voilette in seventh. Jim List eighth. Jeff Jacobs ninth. And Bobby Childs rounds out the top 10. There's some drivers that had issues. Mike Dam was a driver who we figured was battling for a podium. He ends up all the way back in 23rd. Drivers that weren't able to make it. The first driver out, 0 points. The point leader, the championship leader coming into the event in the GTLM class, Ian Gagnon Renault for F4H Racing, had the trouble out early of 31st place finish. No points. Talk about blowing things wide open in GTLM. So let's bring Miguel Acruda into our comms booth here to get a chance to talk to the race winner. If we can do that, that will be fantastic. Again, Miguel doing a tremendous job here today. We'll wait for him to join us. A bunch of great burnouts, Miguel. Congratulations. This is Rob Howden here in the commentary booth. Thank you so much for joining us. Overall, a tremendous run for you. You kind of, set your pace early. Drivers around you made mistakes. You did not. You find yourself with the lead. Give us your thoughts on winning here today at Silverstone.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. This is my first win on this series. I found it very, very competitive. A lot of awesome, quick, fast, great drivers. Had a little bit of luck on the start. I had like 3 cars spin in front of me. I didn't have contact. And I knew I didn't have the pace on the cars on the front, so I tried to conserve the tires for the end and hope that they wear it out. And it paid off. I managed to sink. The only reason why I had a little bit more pace or could stay without mistakes was the tires, because all those guys are pretty good drivers. They don't make mistakes.
Well, I'll tell you this right now. That's one of the things with a race like this, 75 minutes in length, making no mistakes is key. A couple of drivers having trouble going into pit lane with pit lane speed penalties. Both Laster got a penalty as well. Mike Dam got a penalty. They kind of blew things wide open. Caden Bin was closing up there at the tail end of that race, got down to about 1.2 seconds. Did you know he was that close? And if so, what kind of pressure was that putting on you over the last couple of laps?
Well, I realize they're coming. They're faster than me. I don't have no issues with that. My strategy was just to keep a pace and hope for the best. They were really fast the 3/4 of the race, So I tried not to panic and not make mistakes. Because the only thing that was gonna save me is that they wear their tires more, and it seems like that was because I didn't have their pace.
Pretty close to having an El Crudo, 2 of them on the podium. Is that your son that runs the number 84 car?
Yeah, that's my son. He was out of tires, yeah, but that's my son, almost.
Well, I'll tell you this, as an older guy myself, I'm happy to see the dad come out up front. I think that's solid. You put him in his place today.
Yeah, if he got in front of me, that would be a month of, every day he telling me that he's faster than me.
Well, Miguel, congratulations. Let me give you the opportunity. Is there any of your sponsors or somebody you'd like to thank right now for being able to get you here onto the podium and the top step that is here at Silverstone?
Yeah, the guys from the series, Kevin, all the guys, they have put a series that is really, really good. A lot of gentlemen here, really good drivers. I enjoy it a lot. There's a lot of pressure in this series to be competitive. And our team just got, a relationship with Monster Energy Drink. So soon we will have their skins. So we want to thank them also, so hopefully we keep growing.
Well, I'll tell you, Miguel, you'll always look back on the event here at Silverstone as your first win in the GT Challenge. Congratulations. Well done.
Thanks a lot, Rob. Thanks all of you.
Miguel Acrudo, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely flawless run, start to finish. You know that he didn't have quite the quickest race car, but when you make no mistakes like that, that's what you do to get yourself into P1. A tremendous run for him. Of course, his son Miguel Antonio Acrudo Jr. ends up finishing in the 4th spot. Let's bring in Abner Acosta. Alessandro, give you an opportunity to talk to the driver who scrapped his way into P3. Great run for Abner Acosta. We'll bring him in here as well. And we'll let Alessandro have a chance to talk to him because it really was a tremendous run.
Here we are with Abner Acosta. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Hello, guys.
Hi. Very clean and eventful race up front today in the GT Le Mans field. Have you ever seen so many speeding penalties in a race up front? You guys got very lucky.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I was 7th at the end, and all of a sudden I just picked up like 3 spots. So I wasn't sure what happened, but that lap 1, turn 1 was pretty painful for us. We just got turned around and had to come from the back. So I'm lucky to finish 3rd.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And also the last few laps has been very, very tight with the Ford coming very, very fast from 4th place. William Lesser almost got you there, and then he made a tiny mistake. How was your pace here? Are you happy with your 3rd place, or did you expect maybe a little bit more from your BMW here?
I'm happy with my 3rd place, especially how the race started, and I don't think I had the pace to be up there, but I guess I just stayed consistent and didn't get any penalties, so I'm glad I got a 3rd for that.
Oh yeah, for sure. And also considering the troubles for plenty of your competitors for the championship, this is definitely a very good weekend for you anyway.
Yeah, it is. I've been getting in incidents the past few weeks, so this is definitely good for me, for sure, for championship points.
Well, thank you very much. Anybody you want to shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, I want to thank my team, Level Motorsports, and I also want to thank the sponsors of our team, which is JRT, ESA Simulators, and Narrow 53. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you very much for coming by to talk with us after this very, very eventful race, and I hope to see you very, very soon on our channels.
All right, thank you, guys. Have a good night.
That was Abner Acosta, driver of the 44 car, 3rd place today here in the GT Le Mans field. Rob, very, very
Sorry,
nice
Alessandro,
race.
continue.
A very, very nice race. Maybe a little bit longer would have played out definitely much more differently.
Yeah, I think that we probably would have saw, maybe not quite so much pressure put on Caden Bin. I think that he probably pushed pretty hard over the last couple of laps. Again, a little mistake that he had allowed Acrudo to get by, and I think that was probably weighing on him a little bit. I know Bin had some really good speed. We saw the issues, of course, with Mike Dam. Of course, Bin and Mike Dam had a good battle before that issue, the pit lane speed issue. And of course, William Laster as well. And I think that Caden Bin said, this is my opportunity to get back in this championship with only 2 more rounds to go. Just a little mistake on that final circuit. He was closing. He didn't lose a spot. So let's give him the props on that, able to hold on to 2nd still. We hope to talk to Caden, but he might have bailed out already on us. we will give the props to the drivers who scored the win. I don't see them in the interview waiting area. So kudos to Esteban Rodriguez for the win. I really like that strategy. To see him show the patience to be able to sit behind Caleb Lavender for over 45 minutes of a 75-minute race. They went way deep into the fuel window, and you just know that Rodriguez was probably pedaling it nicely there, saving fuel, and indeed was able to go 2 extra laps past what we, I think, figured was going to be the end of the window for the drivers in the GTLM class. So Rodriguez and that Mercedes were very impressive. The longer run made, of course, for a shorter fuel stop. That gave him about 2-second advantage on Lavender when they came back out. Now, Lavender closed back up, probably within about 1.3 seconds, Alessandro, at one point. But I think it was more some of the lap cars. Of course, they were kind of getting passed a little bit by some of the drivers in GTLM. Of course, the leaders came by at one point. It was just, I think, that kind of chess move where guys were getting in between them, kind of running blocker, and it just didn't allow Lavender to get where he needed to be to potentially make a run at it. He tried to the very final lap, got pretty close, but came up just short at the line. Nonetheless, Rodriguez, Lavender, and Svavaretic definitely deserve our props. The podium in the GTD category.
Definitely a long race that will be remembered for the amount of mistakes made by the drivers who almost had already clinched a very good position in the first part of the race. And remember for these drivers that out of nowhere found each other competing for a win or a podium. And a race that will be probably shaping up the championship because a lot of drivers had numerous issues and they will be facing this deficit at the end when it's gonna be just a few points dividing the winner of the championship to the second and the third place. So we will see in the end how it's gonna play out, but definitely this round in Great Britain here at Silverstone will be remembered for a long time in this series.
Yeah, most definitely a kind of a pivot weekend for sure. The driver who came in as the championship leader, Ian Gagnon Renault, the driver who had trouble on the opening lap, so that blows everything wide open in the GTLM category. That's going to wrap things up, folks, here from Silverstone. A tremendous run. Big victory for Miguel Acrudo. His first in the GT Challenge. Caden Bin and Abner Acosta completing the podium in that category. And again, as we said, Esteban Rodriguez, a great strategy to win over Caleb Lavender and Dennis Svavaretic in the GTD class. It was, as we said, typical UK weather, a little cloudy, pretty big wind, and not the warmest temperatures that we normally see. But again, it was a fantastic run all around. The drivers in the Ricmotech GT Challenge will be back once again. It'll be a June 1 race here on Apex Racing TV. The drivers heading for round number 7, the penultimate round of this championship. They'll head to the Barcelona GP. Should be a tremendous late afternoon run. But that is it from everything here at Silverstone. Thank you so much for joining us. On behalf of Alessandro Dalladone and Dennis Branch, my name's Rob Howden. We'll see you down the road. The Barcelona Grand Prix on June the 1st.